When most people think of poor diet, they picture weight gain or maybe diabetes down the road. But what if I told you that wrong foods don't just make you sick, they actually make you age faster? Today we're going to uncover how poor diet quietly shortens your health span, increase your risk of disease, and takes years of life. A poor diet in longevity isn't just eating junk food, it's any eating pattern that accelerates biological aging. Think ultra-processed foods, added sugars, excess unhealthy fats, and sodium. It's also what you don't eat, like fibers, antioxidants, and plant foods that repair and protect your cells. When we consistently eat more than our body needs, especially from processed foods, we store fat. But not all fat is equal. Visceral fat, the fat that surrounds your organs, behaves like an inflammatory factor. It releases chemicals that accelerate aging, disrupts hormones, and fuel disease. Every 5 points, only 5 points of BMI above normal increases your risk of dying early by 30%. Obesity doesn't just affect how you look, it can cut 5, 10, even 15 years off your life. Now, refined carbs and sugars spike your blood sugar. Over time, this causes insulin resistance, where your cells stops listening to insulin signals. This doesn't just set you up for diabetes, it also drives mTOR overactivation, shutting down autophagy, your body's natural cellular cleanup crew. And the result? More oxidative stress, more inflammation, and faster aging for your arteries, skin, and organs. In fact, developing diabetes in your 30s can cut up to 14 years off your lifespan. Now, let's talk about fats, because not all fats are created equal when it comes to longevity. When your diet is high in saturated fats from red meat, butter, cheese, and fried foods, your body produces more ApoB containing particles. And think of ApoB as tiny cargo ships carrying cholesterol through your bloodstream. The more ships you have, the higher the chance that they crash into the arteries of the arterial wall and get stuck. Over time, this creates plaque, a process called atherosclerosis. And here's the problem. The plaque doesn't just clog your arteries, it makes them older. Arteries lose flexibility, become inflamed, and eventually the clot ruptures, leading to heart attack and stroke. This is one of the fastest ways a poor diet shortens your life. Now let's talk about trans fat. These were once common in margarine, packaged baked goods, and fried fast foods. Even in small amounts, trans fats wreak havoc. They increase inflammation, raises LDL, and lowers HDL, and directly damage your endothelium, the lining of your blood vessels. In fact, trans fats are so dangerous that the World Health Organization estimates eliminating them could prevent 500,000 premature deaths every year worldwide. Here's what's fascinating from a longevity perspective. Poor fat quality accelerates multiple hallmarks of aging. It drives mitochondrial dysfunction, ramps up chronic inflammation, and impairs nutrient-sensing pathways like insulin and mTOR. In other words, it doesn't just hurt your heart, it ages your cells from the inside out. But here's the good news. When you replace poor fats with high-quality fats, the opposite happens. Diet rich in monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, like those found in olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish, it lowers the ApoB, reduces inflammation, and improves vascular elasticity. And that's why the Mediterranean diet, which is loaded with these fats, has been linked to a 20 to 30% reduction in cardiovascular death and longer lifespan. So here is the key takeaways. It's not about cutting out all fats. It's about swapping the wrong fats for the right ones, because every bite you take is either accelerating artery aging or slowing it down and buying more healthy years. Let's talk about one of the most underrated accelerators of aging, salt. Most people think of sodium as just something that raises blood pressure, but here's the reality. Salt ages your blood vessels at the cellular level. The average American consumes 3,400 milligrams of sodium per day, nearly double the recommended dose between 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams. The hidden culprit aren't the salt shaker, it's the processed food, the canned soup, the frozen dinners, sauces, and even breads. When you consistently overload on sodium, your blood vessel stiffens. Imagine your arteries like flexible garden hoses. With too much sodium, they lose this elasticity, turning more like rigid pipes. This stiffening increases the force against the blood vessel walls, raising blood pressure and causing microscopic damages. That damage accumulates over decades, making your arteries look biologically older than your actual age. Scientists now call this vascular aging, and it's one of the strongest predictor of how long and how well you will live. Every 20 points rise in systolic blood pressure doubles your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. That means you are walking around with a blood pressure of 140 instead of 120, your long-term risk skyrockets. And it's not just about numbers on a blood pressure cuff. High sodium diets are linked to endothelial dysfunction when your blood vessels can't relax properly, accelerated arterial calcification, the hardening that makes vessels brittle, increased oxidative stress and inflammation in vessel walls. Over time, this combination doesn't just increase your risk of heart attack and stroke, it accelerates the entire process of biological aging. So what's the antidote? The longevity-friendly strategy isn't only about cutting salt, it's about restoring balances. Lower sodium by minimizing processed food, boost potassium-rich foods like bananas, avocados, spinach, and sweet potatoes. Potassium helps counteract sodium's pressurizing effect, relaxing blood vessels and supporting fluid balances. Think of potassium as sodium's opposite number in the aging equation. The more potassium-rich produce you eat, the more protection your vascular system has against salt's damage. So the bottom line is, if you want your blood vessels to stay young, flexible, and resilient, eat real food, limit hidden sodium, and load up on potassium from plants. That single shift can literally slow the aging of your cardiovascular system. Now, let's talk about, when we talk about poor diet, we often focus on what people eat too much of. But just as damaging is what's missing. A longevity-unfriendly diet is usually low in plants, and that means you're missing fiber, antioxidants, and polyphenols, the very compounds that protect our cells from aging. Here's why that matters. Fiber isn't just about digestion, it's the main food source for your gut microbiome. A starved microbiome produces fewer short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which normally reduces inflammation and keep your colon and immune system young. Without enough fiber, your gut lining weakens, inflammation rises, and you accelerate biological aging. Antioxidants from colorful fruits and vegetables are nature's defense system. Without them, oxidative stress damage your mitochondria, proteins, and DNA. Over time, this damage adds up, driving faster onset of chronic disease and shaving years off your health span. Polyphenols found in plants like berries, green tea, and olive oil directly activate your longevity pathway, sirtuins and AMPK, which slow down cellular aging. Without them, those pathways go quiet and your repair system falters. Global research is clear. Diets low in fruits and vegetables are among the leading causes of premature death worldwide. So if your plate is mostly beige and brown, bread, meat, processed food, and rarely green, red, purple, or orange, you are literally speeding up the clock on your lifespan. A true longevity diet flips the script. It's not just avoiding the bad, it's about flooding your body with the protective compound only plants provide. Processed meat like bacon, sausage, and deli slices are classified as a Group 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization. Even moderate intake increases colorectal cancer risks, and add alcohol to the mix, and you further accelerate DNA damage, cancer risks, and brain aging. There is no safe level of alcohol when it comes to longevity. Now, let's connect poor diet with the hallmark of aging, the biological processes that decide how fast or slow we age. Now, let's connect poor diet with the hallmark of aging. Chronic inflammation. A poor diet, heavy in sugar, processed food, and poor quality fats, keeps your immune system on alert mode. Instead of short bursts of defense, you get a low-grade fire burning inside you. This silent inflammation damages blood vessels, joints, and even brain cells. Over decades, it accelerates arthritis, dementia, and heart disease. Oxidative stress, well, when you skip colorful plant foods, you miss antioxidants and polyphenols. Without them, free radicals roam unchecked, damage proteins, lipids, and DNA. Imagine sparks flying in your cell without no fire extinguisher around. That accelerates cellular wear and tear. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Your mitochondria, the power plants of your cells, are highly sensitive to diet. High sugar and unhealthy fats impair their efficiency. While nutrient deficiencies starve them of raw materials, poor diet literally dims your cellular batteries, making you feel fatigued while also accelerating tissue aging. Insulin resistance. Too much refined carbohydrate and sugar overwhelm your system. Over time, insulin signaling breaks down and glucose stays in your bloodstream longer. This not only promotes fat gain and diabetes, but also accelerates aging by damaging proteins in a process called glycation, turning your tissues stiff and brittle. DNA damage. Vitamins, minerals, and polyphenols are essentials to DNA repair enzymes. If your diet is poor, DNA errors accumulate faster. Telomeres, the protective caps at the end of your chromosomes, shorten more quickly, which scientists link directly to reduced lifespan. Dysbiosis, your gut microbiome thrives on fiber and plant diversity. A poor diet of processed food, sugar, and low fiber starves good bacteria and feeds harmful strains. This imbalance increases inflammation and weakens the gut barrier and alters how you process nutrients, all accelerating biological aging. So here's the key takeaway. Poor diet doesn't just give you high cholesterol or diabetes, it actually flips the aging switch on at the cellular level. So here's the key takeaway. And the good news, the opposite is also true. A nutrient-rich, plant-forward, balanced diet can calm inflammation, protect DNA, fuel mitochondria, and nurture your microbiome, essentially flipping the switch off and slowing down on aging. The truth is, poor diet silently shaves years off your life. But the opposite is also true. Every healthy food choice makes a longevity deposit into your future. Fill your plate with plants, choose high quality fats, cut down on processed foods, and minimize alcohol and red meat. Remember, longevity isn't about surviving longer, it's about thriving longer. You have the power to master aging at the dinner table. Thank you.